Ayo, it's 5 rounds, 5 topics a season. Home of the most controversial opinions. Dropping each round on a Friday. If you're about the top trends, then it's our way. So make sure you subscribe. Believe it or not, the vibe is out here. Whereby the peace can talk with no fear. Hey, what's the name of the podcast right here? What's happening? This the vibe right here. Pandies be the tribe right here. We about to go live right here. If you're talking about the rounds, then it's 5 right here. What's happening? This the vibe right here. Pandies be the tribe right here. We about to go live right here. If you're talking about the rounds, then it's 5 right here. Hey, yo, hit the like button. You know I'll be checking.
And there he is. What's going on, good people? Welcome to 5 Rounds. It's your boy Wantali. We got Mr. Drew, DJ Drew, aka Mr. Ask Around. Mr. You don't look like you were ready for this stream, brother. What's going on?
What did I do? What did I do?
I'm just asking.
I'm just smiling because you for the first time you called me Mr. Ask Around. Oh no, this is not the first and second time.
It's not yeah, man. You want me to call you that all the time, or you know, I can call you that all the time. It's no problem.
No, I just came back from watching a documentary about what's his name, Armstrong, the guy who was charged of using dope during the
for doping himself.
Yeah, cycling competition. Yeah.
All right. Well,
so my mind is still processing that.
Well, can you zone into 5 Rounds podcast because people are waiting for us here, right, guys?
Right.
If you like culture, vibes, laughter, and a hint of drama, you're on the right channel, right here, guys. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. So that's right, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Okay, I want to dedicate these little seconds to X, aka Twitter, for hating, because now for us to stream live, we have to pay for their premium services. So thank you, Elon Musk, asshole. But anyway,
I kind of knew everyone is gonna go that direction.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean it's all money thing, you know. It's all money. They have what you call it, a business model, and that business model eventually has to make the money. If it doesn't make the money, it is nothing.
Well, you know, milking everything now. Everything, you know, literally everything. If you want to do this, get premium.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Oh.
Anyway, nobody's moaning about us being late. So yeah, actually, let me finish this X thing, this Twitter thing. Sorry, guys, those who watch on Twitter or X, I'm just going to tell you now, man. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it looks like we won't be streaming on X anymore unless, you know, we get premium, which, yeah, there is that.
How much are you supposed to be paying anyway?
It's like £11 a month, I think. It's £11, £11 a month or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, they can do one. Oh, one, do one. You know what I'm saying? So, just bear with me a second. I'm just going to post that we're live. You know what I mean? So people know that we're live, because they might think we're not live and they're waiting, the poor people, you know. And sorry about the background noise. You know, it's summer, so people are running around and doing the most in it outside and stuff. So yeah, if you hear the background noise, there were the people in the chat not complaining about us being late. Well, we were actually on time today. You know, I don't know if you noticed, people. I don't know if you noticed. You know what I mean? We were on time today. Hold up. Let me just retweet that right quick. There we go. Right. Okay. Let's go. Right. We've done it. Ooh, we got got some new people. You
Oh, there we go. There we go.
We're still a few minutes late. Who's Bushido Brown? I love Bushido Brown. Let's go. We've got a Boondocks fan. No.
Who's Bushido Brown?
Bushido Brown was a karate guy. It was a karate Afro guy. Wait. We're gonna go on a tangent. Bushido Brown. I think he was from. Yeah, he was in the Boondocks basically. I think he was sent to fight Stigme, I believe. But yeah, it's a cool character. If you know, you know. He says. I don't know who you. Okay, intriguing person. He said, "First time here. I hope the conversation stimulates my mind. We hope so too. Listen, here it's more community. So, we all have a conversation. So, Anna, welcome to the chat, and obviously Bushido Brown.
I mean, I know the Boondocks, but I don't know this Bushido Brown. Is it the
karate Afro guy, man? Anyway, let's.
Right.
I heard Pandies.
I got myself a glass of milk.
I heard Pandies run wild here. I know who this is. You just revealed yourself, Bushido Brown. I know who you are. Now. I was wondering, because I was like, he's a mod already. Nah, we know who it is. Why did you change? Definitely no Francis. Why did you change your name? Huh? Why'd you do that?
Do you think that's Francis?
It's Francis. New year, new me.
Yeah.
See, he said it right there. Definitely no
New
Francis.
year, new me.
Right. But I like the Bushido Brown reference, bro. Okay, guys. Anyway, guys, people are here for a serious topic, yeah. So we're gonna give you that. Today, I wanted to speak about immigration and crime. What the correlations of immigration and the crime rate. So the question is, does immigration affect a country's crime rate? Right. The reason we chose this topic today is I came across a video of somebody called what's her name? I think Alex Phillips from Talk TV. Basically, she was talking about how immigrants affect crime in her neighborhood, her community, and how she feels that the lack of control of migration is directly causing the increase in crime. So I thought I'd sort of look that up and think, is what she's saying true? Because when I was hearing it, I was upset. Obviously, I'm an immigrant myself, so I was upset. I was thinking, she's talking about me. You know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, but when you see on social media and somebody commits a crime, you sit there going, please don't be black. Please don't be black. I don't know if I don't know if Asian people do that. I don't know if white people do that, but black people do that all the time. You know why? Because of people who say, no, immigrants are ruining our community. Don't really want to be grouped with people committing crime. But unfortunately, if you go in comments on Instagram, they just go, hey, no surprises there. It's a black person. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know that I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I mean immigration, then it goes to race, because they normally say if you look this way, you're probably an immigrant. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
That is the question. So keep that in your mind. What are your thoughts? Do you think immigration affects a country's crime rate? So I'm going to put that straight in the poll, and I'm going to show you this video that I came up with. Okay, here we go. Let me give you this poll straight away, guys. Whoop, there it is. Does immigration affect a country's crime rate? And then when you answer the question, think about the next question. How significantly does it affect it? Or if it doesn't, why doesn't it affect it? Alrighty, hit that poll, guys. I've given you the poll over there in the chat. I'm gonna show you this video, all right? But before I get to this video, guys, just remember this is a space for both sides, all right? You're gonna find people that agree and don't agree. Can we please respect each other while we debate in the chat? Thank you very much. Right, here we go. Her name is Alex Phillips. I hope this doesn't get hit for copyright, but anyway, we'll see in it. Here we go.
Something which most journalists and presenters. Now I'm going to do something which most journalists and presenters wouldn't dare do. That is going down the route of a particularly taboo story that is close to my heart, shall we say. And I'll tell you why. It's all about crimes and migrants committing crimes. And I'll tell you why. this is particularly close to my heart because, to coin a favourite phrase of the left wing, it has been my lived experience over the past 3 years or so that a lot of crimes happening against women especially seem to be committed by people who aren't from this country. I've been followed home with a man in one of those Afghan kolpal hats chuntering away in some language all the way to my front door. I had to hide in my neighbour's house and pretend I didn't live in my house because he was lurking around outside trying to do indecent things to himself. That's right. I've also had my phone robbed off me by a Roma woman with a scarf on. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Who are these people? Why are we importing all this stuff?
Oh, my God.
The streets where I live anymore without weird men leering at me, making comments. Look, I'm not one of these Me Too movement women. When it was builders wolf whistling from vans, I don't care. Sometimes it brightens up your day. Because what they don't do is they don't get into your personal space. They don't trail you. They don't physically approach you. They don't follow you to your front door. It's a very different sort of more harmless thing, a wolf whistle, than some of the stuff I'm being subjected to now. And some of the stuff my best mate who lives around the corner, again, her lived experience. Also, guess what? A woman with long blonde hair. She has 4 teenage daughters. All of them now have at some point been sexually assaulted. They've been groped. They have been followed. They are scared living in London. What is going on? So I am going to keep talking about this. I don't care if people turn around and goes, you're a racist, because my safety and the safety of women in this country is paramount. That is way more important than offending certain communities who, quite frankly, have men with medieval values when it comes to women. And I ain't standing for it. So I'm going to keep on this subject. Now, one thing I think we need to do in this country is publish statistics on crime by nationality. We don't do it. Apparently, we don't keep them. We're too lily-livered. Oh, we keep statistics on the victims of crime by nationality. So we can turn around and go, oh, look, it's all poor people who are not from here being targeted. What about the fact that actually, if you look on, there's this brilliant website about organised crime around the world. The contributors to that are people like the CIA, Interpol, Europol, and they've got all the stats of who's committing crime where in what countries. It's an amazing deep dive. You can sort of go onto this map and zoom in on a particular nation that explains all the sort of trends and patterns. About 90% of our organised crime was being committed by Albanians. I mean, for crying out loud, what are we importing? Now, countries that...
Did she say what are we importing? Not who, huh? What?
do actually publish their statistics, Scandinavian countries. I've got some of them here. And so I want to sort of run you through a bit of this. Now, Denmark increased its level of non-Western born immigrants between 2020 and 2023 by a staggering 158%. 158%. Turns out at the same time, crime went up by 31%. Is there a correlation? Well, sex offences went up by 248%. And when you look at their league tables, the vast majority of those sexual offences are being committed by men who were not born in Sweden. They weren't even born in European countries or Western countries. That was Denmark, sorry. Now, Sweden, in that same period, their level of non-Western immigration went up by 86%. Overall crime went up by 24%. Is there a correlation? Well, I don't know. Rape went up by 359%. Even the Prime Minister of Sweden has turned around and said, you know, perhaps we were a bit naive when it came to our immigration policy. So there you go. These countries do publish league tables of who's committing crimes by nationality. And believe me, it makes for stark reading. We need to do that in this country, because if we're not honest with ourselves and the situation we're in, people like me are at risk. When I get the tube home to West London from East London, I am at risk. And I don't want to live in a country that doesn't value my safety enough to have this conversation. Now, a country that might find that this is soon going to be in train is Ireland, because they had 3.8 million as a population. And that's staggeringly gone up to 5.3 million in just a matter of years because of, yep, you guessed it, loads of inward migration, a 39% increase in non-Western migrants. The Irish, it seems to me, are already flexing their muscles, the Irish public, and getting pretty annoyed at some of the tent cities popping up. And believe you me, if there's going to be an insurrection on this issue anywhere, I reckon it'll be Ireland. So let's cross over now and speak to the president.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Lord Jesus.
So look, huh? As
Wow.
much as we all sit here and say, the reason when I watched this, right, I said, let me just hear this woman out, right? They are obviously, I'm not gonna be biased on this, or I'm not gonna be unbiased on this. I am, as much as I understand where she's coming from or whatever it is, I don't agree with her, sort of thing. So there's a lot that she said, and it made me check the statistics straight away, because what she said sort of suited what she wanted to say. Percentages are easy to manipulate. So I think we'll start from here. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people like Alex Phillips who believe migration is the problem. Is the link between crime. Today, I want to try, and I told you I'm in favor of this. Migration is not necessarily the problem. But I do agree. I can tell you right now that yes, migration does affect crime rate. All right. But by how much? When I looked it up, 0.01%. 0.01% in the UK. It goes up by. So it's not significant. So what she's saying, she said it, but she didn't say the figures. Who committed those crimes that she was talking about? She said in Denmark, the crime rate rose to whatever factor. But who committed those crimes exactly? Was it necessarily affected by people coming into the country? And how can you prove that? Is that the only thing you can point to? This is the problem. Was there an economic crisis? Is this during COVID? When COVID had happened and all these things? There's a lot of things to consider. But when things start going bad, the first person you're going to blame is the person you don't know, the person you fear. The entity the unknown, the one you can't, the one you can't explain. Why do they behave like that? Why are they like this? It's their fault. It's their fault. So today, we're going to try and have this discussion. I really appreciate it if there's somebody who is on the other side and says, you know what, actually, I agree. I feel this way. I hope someone in the chat is there, or someone in the comments can later engage us. Maybe Drew, because Drew, you said in the WhatsApp group, you were moving mad.
I mean, listen, I want to try and understand also the side of the locals. Let's call them the locals, right? Let's give them the name the locals. But first of all, before I start explaining anything or pointing out my point of view in this whole mess, because I'm calling it a mess because it is a mess. Number one, we are all immigrants.
Wow. Okay.
We are all immigrants. So when a country or society puts a label to people who are not born, who are not a nationality of that country, label them as immigrants. Let's go back to history. We are all immigrants. Wherever each and every one of us is, we are all immigrants. And I think at this point, I am kind of getting tired of this demographic marginalization of us Africans or brown people in Europe and in the Western countries. It's getting to a point now where we can see the agenda. We can see the mission. There is an agenda. And we all have to wake up to this. I think I was reading a website at some point. I'm glad you mentioned this. There's a website called Politico. It's a very good political watch website of what's going on, what's the state of left-wing, right-wing situations in Europe and in the Western culture. And if you look at the 90s, if you go back in the 90s, going to 2000s, there was sort of a coalition of parties, political parties in the Western culture to stop the right wing, the extreme right wing, to getting into power. Because the extreme right wing in the early 90s, let's start from the 80s into early 90s, they had an agenda to eliminate and get rid of all immigration laws that accept brown people into their countries. But now the right-wing extremism is coming back to play, and lucky enough, it didn't happen in France. cheers to France. Lucky enough, it didn't happen, because if France had played the role in leading for the right wing to come back into power, we would have seen all European countries following suit. And at the moment, Sweden, and of course, where you are right now, they are heading towards that agenda of right-wing movement. So this is all part of the agenda. And we must remember media is the number one form of communication, of propagating any agenda, right? So what she's doing right now, she's playing a role in propagating that agenda so that people get to understand what's the importance or the safety of being a European without having immigration into play. That's where I'm going to begin right now.
Wow. This is why I'm saying, you know, it's as much as you have loud voices on the right side or the right wing, whatever people call it, you know, I don't know. As much as you have people, you know, on the left wing, for example, who say, yeah, you know, this is the right thing to do, blah 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 blah. You also have people on the right wing who really believe that these are things that are happening to suit whatever agendas that they have. You know, I want to. I'm not going to make this solely about this lady. You know, I thought I speak to you guys and see what you think. You know, now I want to ask some questions. All right. First, let me see what the vote said when I asked, you know, if the immigration affects the crime rate. Everyone said no. Well, okay. Everyone said no. What about you, Drew?
Okay.
Does immigration affect the crime rate?
Listen, I don't have the statistics of what's out there, what's what. I don't have that. Again, I think I am learning, living in Europe, that I have to go against implicit biases every time. Every time you have to fight against implicit bias, be it at work, be it at the supermarket, anywhere. And these implicit biases go as deep as, you know, looking at you to say, oh, a black man, he's going to rob me. Or a brown man, he's bringing in drugs. This is what we go through, and we have to be able to open and talk about it, right? Again, I don't know the statistics about crime rate. I'm not a police person. I'm not an investigative person in the area of crime. But what I can tell you is that as soon as people understand or get to understand that we're going against this huge bias, we won't get anywhere near. Because if you have a person who has a mind fixed on an idea about who you are, whatever you try to do, you won't change that.
That's true.
The idea is fixed about you and who you are. For instance, no child, I don't think any child is born to hate immigration or anybody who's different color than them. They wake up in the morning. They were born in this world. I would say they were born in this world to love, to care about other people. But they learn from their immediate relations. They learn from their parents. They learn from school. They learn from the media. They learn from everywhere around the world. Now, if a system is built where you switch on the television and there's a woman speaking about her safety and chasing immigration, what would that person become? So you see, I think this bias is very hard to break down. It's very hard to dismantle, if I put it that way. It's ingrained in their DNA about who brown person is. But what's funny though, this is what's really funny. I wish I would have like a one-on-one with this woman. That obviously this episode is not based on her, but I just wish I had a one-on-one with her.
Yeah,
I would kindly ask her to say, when you go out on a Sunday or whatever day and you feel like eating Indian food, who is making and serving you that Indian plate?
It's migrants.
When you're out drinking and you're out at 3 a.m. in the morning and you feel like you want a kebab, who is making and serving you that kebab?
I think you should even just ask her to mention 5 things that are essential to her life. Yeah, let's say perfume, let's say food, let's say whatever, water, all these things. In all those 5 things, can she seriously say that she doesn't engage somebody who was not born in a country or who is not of the her country of origin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because on one side, she's saying that all the people that she meets on the street are trying to do appropriate things. It feels unsafe. Okay, this is on one side, yeah, but she's sort of just shaded everyone that way and gone, everyone is like this. But then when you go and look at the necessities you have, the fact that you can still express yourself in your own country and all these things, does it mean that everyone is really contributing to this crime rate? Would you be able to leave your house in that case if every migrant was causing you this problem? You know,
I mean, this is the same thing that America did for African American people. Because I think during the 60s and the 70s, when there has been a lot of research about, the crimes that are being committed to African American people, including the one that was very popular, the Tuskegee experiment, they started to realize that we need to create a narrative that demonizes a certain group of people, right? So in so doing, when you create a narrative that demonizes a certain group of people, you will create, how do you call it? You will create an awareness and a false awareness to the masses that don't even care about politics and voting, but they're like trolls, they just follow. Okay, so this narrative, it's being created right now in Europe by the right-wing movement that immigration is contributing massively to crime. This is a narrative that's being created, and you will see. And I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can foresee that in the next 2-3 years, there will be intensive search for brown people, whether they've committed crimes or not. There will be restrictions, which there already are, for brown people coming to Europe. This is bound to happen. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. For as long as the right-wing movement is in power, this is bound to happen.
I guess it's always a narrative, you see. Even here, it's a very big touching point because there are a lot of working class people or middle, low class people who they know that there are public services that migrants will use, right? So they'll always attribute that to, why your waiting time is long is because of the migrants. You know why this is because of these people. You know why this is happening because of, so it makes it easier to get people's votes, if that makes sense. But are they actually going to fact check these things? Do you know the people that are also helping you, basically? The people that are the people that you're going to get looked after, the doctors. How many people know a Dr. Patel? I'm not trying to stereotype, but I'm just saying. I mean, how many people know a Dr. Patel? Loads. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying here is, I think you got to think twice before you think, because this referendum thing, right? It should have shown a picture when people said, "Oh, we want to leave the EU." Look at what happened. We started getting, they literally offered jobs to migrants. That's what they did because the UK couldn't sustain itself. So what's up, Mr. Fatson Podcast? He says it's a problem until she wears her Italian-made coat whilst tweeting from her mobile phone, which was assembled in China, which she will use to book her holiday in the sun in a foreign land. That last part, right? How many British citizens do you see going out there breaking stuff, fighting, football hooliganism, and all these things? Why ain't she talking about that? Isn't that increasing the crime rate in other countries? So if you want to sort of look at, because she also portray herself as this civilized human being of a civilized community, look at your own community when they leave the country and go somewhere else, and when they migrate. We're not talking about expat business here. Migrate, What's their behavior out there, huh?
I never had to feel uncomfortable in my own skin until I moved to Europe. Let me be clear on this. Let me be clear on this one. And I think the first encounter was at a French airport. This was what's the name of the airport again? Charles de Gaulle, is it? I was at the airport. my flight was delayed 24 hours or something, 26 hours or something. So I had to stay at the airport and wait for the next connection.
Mm.
And I remember going into the bathroom because I wanted to help myself. Answer call of nature. So I'm there and I meet this European guy, white dude, next to me. He looks at me, first of all, up and down, scanned me. And I was just, doing my own thing. This is my first time in Europe, right? I don't know why he's looking at me like that. And then all of a sudden, he looks at me again. He says something in French, and I knew that he was talking to me because we were the only two in that bathroom, right? And then he finished peeing, and he spat like right next to me. You know what I mean? That was my first experience of feeling uncomfortable in my own skin.
That
was my first experience. Feeling uncomfortable in my own skin.
Mm.
And I said to myself, "Wow, welcome." I mean, I've heard about it, but I hadn't experienced it, right? Because I lived most of my life in Africa. That was the first experience,
Mm.
And another experience is being mistaken for stealing at a workplace. Right? Because you are the only colored person in the building.
So this is your own employer, yeah?
That's everyone in the building. Everyone in the building. Mistaking you that you have taken that thing. You have stolen that thing. Only to find out 2 days later that that thing was in a certain car. In one of the workers at work. He had forgotten in a different car.
And wait a minute. So this was your place of work?
This is the place of work.
For you?
This is the place of work. We had a toolbox that was missing, right? And I was the first one mistaken to have taken this toolbox. Okay, and this is real life. We're live now. This can be spread around anyway. I will still say the same story because it actually happened to me. And I think it's time we should be talking about these things.
Yeah, man. Damn.
Emotional damage.
And this is my second time experiencing that. Wow, I'm different. I am different.
Yep.
All right. So you see, there's a certain bias about a brown person. Like when you see a brown person, there's always that registry that registers in their mind to say, like, he could be a thief, he could be a gangster, and especially if you have dreadlocks, he probably smokes weed. He's probably selling weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I need to move back to the topic. As Fatson said, the question was about migration. Let's take it out of race. That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
But it goes hand in hand. But it does go hand in hand.
While I agree with that, just that video we watched shows that a lot of people will attribute it to a certain group of people. When they say migrants, they're not talking about the white Europeans.
Let's not beat about the bush. Let's not beat about the bush. Let's not beat about the bush.
She did say Albanians, though. But then again,
they're brown people. Albanians are brown people.
Yeah.
Let's not beat about the bush. Let's not beat about the bush. How easy is it for Ukrainians to settle into Europe, in all different places of Europe after the war? How easy is it for them? Let's call a spade a spade. Let's not beat about the bush. How easy is it for Ukrainians to settle into other European countries after the war?
It's quite easy because
very easy. Now, how easy is it for brown people? Is Ukrainian migration not migration?
It is migration, but
what's the difference?
They got married. People open their homes. Remember people open their homes. Would they ever do that for Africa, guys? Come on now.
Let's call a spade. Migration, this anti-migration thing, this anti-migration thing and racism, it goes hand in hand. The moment we start to talk about it, the moment they start to feel what we feel, because listen, they don't experience what we experience. We experienced it, and we have to talk about it. And if we ourselves start to differentiate the two, because that's what the agenda is about, to differentiate the two. Oh, now we're talking about migration and crime. No, let's look at the agenda on the table.
Yes, I hear that, Drew, but I'm going to have to flip it a little bit. All right. Just a little bit, because I feel like we always go into this and we are quick to play the victim, but I'm gonna flip it a little bit. All right.
It's not playing the victim, actually. It's stating the
Okay,
facts.
fine. It's facts. It's facts.
Mm.
It is facts. You know, maybe that's the wrong use of words there.
Listen. Do you think she was playing the victim when she was talking about her safety, or she was stating facts?
Oh, she thought she was stating facts. You know,
But she was playing victim.
Of course she was. But look, let me ask you a question, right? So let's go back to you being in Malawi, right? You growing up in Malawi, you living in Malawi. When you heard about Malawi taking refugees, okay, Malawi taking migrants into the country, right?
Yeah.
In your mind, did you think this would lead to more crime? Like
Nope.
when Malawi, really?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think so. I know there are Nigerian people that are bringing in crime. I know there are nice Nigerian people that are doing things that are just normal. I know there are Burundian people that are bringing in crime. I know there are Burundian people that are not bringing in crime.
Okay.
Crime exists either way.
Okay.
It's not a matter of like, oh, if we bring in the Chinese, they're going to bring more crime. Crime exists anyway.
So when you are in Malawi, right, and you know, you're hearing these reports that, a Mozambican has been caught with like 3 Malawians, and they've all got weapons. You didn't correlate that to the fact that the Mozambican has migrated to Malawi and focus. Interesting.
No.
Interesting.
To commit a crime, it doesn't necessarily mean it's genetically in you.
No.
You're gonna commit a crime.
You see, I should have started with this question, to be honest, because on WhatsApp, yeah, this is what you said, Drew.
Yeah. Why did I say on WhatsApp? Let's go back to WhatsApp. What did I say on that?
Oh God, you know, I've got receipts.
What did I say on WhatsApp?
Wait, hold on, man.
Let's go.
Because gunshots got fired at Mzalega yesterday. Just to put this into perspective, 7 out of 10 Malawians have never seen a personal firearm apart from ones carried by the police. Mzalega is a refugee camp, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you said gunshots got fired there, and you said not many Malawians have weapons. So you attributed the gunshots to people coming into the country.
That's not what I attributed. That's not what that's you can perceive it in that way, but that's not what I say. That's not what I say. What I was trying to say is there's not so many Malawians who have guns in their households.
Yeah, but
there's not so many Malawians who have experienced.
But can you agree? Can you agree that you spoke out of fear? You spoke out of fear, and you spoke towards an unknown. You know, something you didn't know. You attributed it to an unknown.
It happened in Dzaleka, right? So my point was based on that. Maybe there could be a chance, but I'm not going to say let's remove on Dzaleka because this happened.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But I was saying that out of from a Malawian perspective, because in Malawi I don't own a gun, and I know tens of thousands of neighbors who don't own guns. We're not gun people, right? It's a new thing. We're not gun people, but that doesn't mean that the guns that are coming in.
What makes you think Malawians are not gun people?
Because we don't own guns. Malawians don't own guns.
What makes you think Malawians don't own guns?
But it's the truth. If Malawians are owning guns, it's now. It's maybe now.
But again, we are not looking at this. Is your opinion? It's based on what you have seen. You know
exactly.
And for that, Alex Phillips, it's also based on what she's seen. She's been to London. She's seen all these things. So she's thinking, nah, all of the UK crime, guns, blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean?
She said she didn't have the statistics though. I don't have the statistics who owns guns in Malawi too. But you know what? Do you know how many times the police in Malawi have been saying, if you want to own a gun, you can come to us and we can give you a certificate? When was this public announcement again in Malawi? Let me try to remember which year that was. I was on radio station that time too, and it shows how there's no need for Malawi to keep a gun under the bed or in a closet somewhere, because we're quite a peaceful country. maybe the crime rate has increased. Maybe the crime rate has increased, but we are a peaceful country.
Wait,
Yes.
Drew, wait. You're going on a tangent. All I'm asking you.
Uh-huh. What are you asking me? What are you asking me?
Oh,
What are you asking me?
Oh my God!
all I'm asking you by making, because
Yeah.
words are very powerful, right? Words
Yeah.
are very, very, very powerful. By
Yeah.
making the statement that you made, right?
Mhm.
Do you not feel it attributed a certain group of people found in
No.
a certain location? It's likely
No.
to be those guys because Malawians don't have weapons. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe I might have said that sentence out of fear, but
Okay.
I don't think in my mind I thought that Burundians are the ones that are in Dzaleka. The Burundians, the Rwandans, Congolese. I don't think I meant that those are the ones bringing the guns, but it was just a matter of just also a comment, an impromptu. It was an impromptu comment. It's true. It was an impromptu comment because I don't think. I know a lot of people from Dzaleka who are very, very nice people and close to me, right?
Yeah.
And I cannot go on and say that they're bringing in guns. That's not that's not a cool thing to say.
No.
And if it appeared that way, let me do it now live to say that's not what I meant to say. That's not what I meant to say. That's not what I meant to say. That's not what I meant to say.
Okay, Drew. I was just trying
to refer to a comment to say Malawians, we don't really own guns, and that's just my opinion. We don't own guns.
I wasn't trying to put you on blast.
No.
So Bushido Brown says Wantali dip. No. Sorry, I noticed that my camera was kind of glitchy, so I had to fix something. Drew, listen.
Yeah.
Right? When you said that comment, I was like, I'm so glad that there's somebody who is on that, who's thinking that way, right? Because I needed to have that conversation.
Right.
But then when you've changed the script a little bit. Okay, fine. But I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? Growing up in Malawi, right? I heard, because in Mozambique again was well known for having illegal arms dealing. Because of the war that they have a lot of weapons stashed away and all these things. The same thing you're thinking. Malawians don't have guns. Most Malawians don't have guns. So now we're bringing in these people from Mozambique, and then they're catching the newspapers. Yeah, it started from newspapers. They're catching these refugees with weapons. Yeah. They're saying, oh no, this, and even the newspapers is sort of just giving you these two things. Look at the refugees, look at the weapons that we're getting. Look at these robberies that are happening in this area. So all of a sudden you start putting it together. This is exactly what happens in this country. Okay.
I mean, I guess.
For me, I always attributed guns coming into Malawi to Mozambicans.
So do you attribute crime coming into Europe from immigration?
No, the facts say it. The facts, I don't, but I'm saying, you got to have this conversation. You have to, and we have to.
I know I'm an immigrant. I know I'm an immigrant, but I don't commit crime. I'm not a criminal.
There's a difference. Bushido Brown says there's a difference between guns being in Malawi and Malawi owning guns. The point is, whether they're guns or not, whether they're guns or not, right? In Malawi, basically, it doesn't matter who's bringing them in, who's doing what, who's committing the crime. We can't just go, it's the Mozambicans' fault. We can't do that because in Malawi, there are Malawians stealing weapons from police stations. Yeah, it's in the news. And then in Malawi, this is the other thing as well. You remember when people were coming from South Africa during the COVID time? What did people say when people were coming from South Africa? What did people say? Malawians coming from South Africa during the COVID time. What were they saying? The crime's going to increase. You're going to notice all these South African style robberies. This is what the media was saying. This is what the WhatsApp groups were saying. So even in our own country, even with our own people that have come back from another country, they've learned new skills. They're going to teach everybody. Yeah. Again.
Let me rephrase this. Let me say it one more time.
Right.
To create an agenda, to create awareness of an agenda, there has to be a medium of propagation, right? And that medium is the social media, the mainstream media. They will do a form of propaganda, right? And I believe there's no human on this planet Earth who can have a thought, an idea to look at someone different as strange or an immigrant as strange, unless there's a form of propaganda being fed to them
100%.
and saying this is what it is, right?
100%.
Okay, so I think maybe they should look into the statistics of who is committing crime. Who is committing crime? Give us the statistics.
But why do we need to go to the statistics? Why do we need to do that?
Because the statistics are the ones who are going to prove that, listen, maybe we're wrong about immigration, because you can't just generalize and say immigration should stop.
Okay,
these people should go back to their own countries.
And I totally understand that. Remember,
and then, in the midst of all these people that are being generalized, they're responsible people who pay taxes, who work, like myself.
Yes,
right?
Drew.
I live in Europe and I pay my taxes. I work, right? I'm a responsible person, but I'm being generalized in that group as an immigration that is bringing crime. That is my problem.
Okay. So we've gone back to Europe now, Drew. No. Let's go back home. Because I think change starts from within. Okay, we can't be asking other people to be different if we are not different. If we're not changing ourselves, you know.
So basically, you're saying you agree what she said. We should go back home.
I don't agree with what she's saying. What did I say?
No.
I said I don't agree. I think you realize the problem when it happens to you. You realize, wow. Do you know what I mean? But you also have to reflect. Have I been like that before?
Of course. And it's by nature, I think self-reflection is actually a very good thing. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah,
it's important. But let's look at it this way. Mm-hmm. How many times has the Malawian said, like, a European person is bringing guns to Africa?
Well, because we, again, stereotypes. You know, what we portray a European person, we call them expats, for crying out loud. We don't even call them immigrants. Do you know what I mean? So, look, the fact that, and again, their propaganda, their agenda, if everyone's saying these people are here to help us, they will never be criminals, isn't it? But yet, there were cases of, you know, expats groping children. What there was one from a school recently, wasn't it, or something?
Are you aware that this is a recoil of what's happening in West Africa right now?
Is it?
Yeah, it is because West African countries, Gabon, what else, Burkina Faso, and them, they have now started realizing, listen, we're being treated like as immigrants out there. They're also immigrants, okay?
Okay, yeah. Like I said, you can't just say expats because you're of this origin, an immigrant because of this country. Right? I think everyone's an immigrant. I agree with that.
So basically, right now the world is being shaped to a certain new world that we're gonna experience in the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be very, very interesting. First of all, I feel like the world will be more separated in the next couple of years to come. Because now everybody is sort of awakening into their own sort of origin and authenticity and culture and belief and whatever is going on. Like, everybody's awakening into their own sort of, this is me, understanding of the human, whatever that is.
Okay.
So in that sense, this gives room to extremists. This gives room to what you call them, purists. This gives room to people who want to it's going to be a whole different total world. Trust me, it's going to be a different world. It will also hinder people from getting married from different races.
Really? Okay.
It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And it will make it so that it will be hard for people to travel from one country to another. Mm-hmm. This is happening. The borders will be very strict. The borders will be very tight. That is what's happening right now. Yes, in France, they have failed to come in, the right wing. That's okay. But as soon as there's 2, 3, 4, 5 countries that are moving with the right wing movement, the rest of the world will not have a chance to get into Europe or into America or into any other Western world, right? There will be that blockage because we have also started creating the same blockage in West Africa. That movement has started now. All right.
Yeah, but
So
I think it's dangerous when you say we. It's not everyone. It's
when I say we, I
it's not
mean Africa.
majority.
Yeah. But it is at the moment. It's going to a majority. If you look at South Africa, their mandate right now is also the same thing. They do not want immigration. They do not want any Western civilization to impose on their political structures.
I think with South Africa, it's far more complicated than that, because that country, their national anthem alone has how many languages? The country was formed through immigration. Honestly, I think I
mean, if you say America, I will agree with you. America was formed through immigration. There's the Americans who need to be talking about immigration needs to change are the American Indians. The Indians in America, those ones are the ones who need to be saying everybody get out, right? But it's true though. It's very true. It's very true. The Indians in America, the native Indians, they need to be saying everybody should get out, not Donald Trump and the rest. They don't have a say on that, right? Same here.
Hold on. Bushido Brown says the problem is that you're making this the exception and not the rule about the difference between Malawians, between guns being in Malawi and Malawians owning guns. Guys, just because there are no official statistics on this, don't take this as words. That's what I would say. I think just because you don't see a lot of guns, don't say that Malawi doesn't have guns. And stuff like that.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
Except that's probably true. And whatnot.
That's probably true. But I mean, you get to see guns if you're in a place where guns are being used.
Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. For instance, you have been to Joburg. Yeah, you've been to Joburg, South Africa. Mm-hmm. You get to experience the gun culture.
I've never been there, but
Right. But when you're in Joburg, you get to experience the gun culture because their guns are being used. Yeah. And it's in every corner because the guns are being used. That's not in Malawi. You don't see people carrying guns in Malawi. You don't hear gunshots like randomly 12 o'clock any longer. Pop, pop, pop. You don't hear that. It's once in a blue moon.
That's a fair point. Point. Again, going back to what I was, when I was asking what I was asking, I'm trying to get you guys, get everyone to understand, okay, we sort of have to understand where it's coming from. Because when like I said, when I watched that video of the lady, I was thinking to myself, where is this coming from? Where does this come from? How do people just go, I don't like this, I attribute this to this and I don't like it, and it's simple. It's the unknown, it's the unknown. It's literally, I don't know what they're capable of. They're different to me, which means they are capable of whatever. You put a definition on it straight and you go, yeah, right. I will attribute them to this. It's a little bit of fear as well. It's like, we're not those type of people, but they are. All of a sudden, you know them,
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. And I feel like that is what needs to change.
I mean, I think that needs to change as well, but we also need to stand up for ourselves as immigrants.
Wait. Are you going to? Okay, do you want to fight this thing with fire? Or, do you want to face this and go? Okay, you know what? Blow for blow.
I'm just saying. Like, I'm a. And this is the fact I want to put out there, which is very interesting. Trust me, this is very interesting. And I say this to several friends as well. Like, my kids are mixed, right? They're between Europe and Africa, but mostly they look like Africans, right? So when they hear about immigration, African immigration being criminals or being assumed as immigrants bringing criminality into Europe, how do you think they're going to grow up in this society?
They'll grow up with guilt, or they'll probably favor their.
You get my point. You get my point. So as an immigrant, I need to defend myself. I need to find to find myself in a position where I say, no, don't generalize. Don't make this a general thing where we all have to, feel like we are incompetent people.
Yeah, but also think about what we say about people in our country. This is why I'm saying, yes, we have to defend ourselves, but also think about the impact. I think you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes as well. What are they doing?
I'm going to tell you how I look at it in my country. I know productive people from Zaleka that are doing amazing things.
Yes.
And one of them used to be my neighbor. And he had a mini shop. He owned a mini shop, which not many Malawians could do. And I've seen that mini shop like develop into something big, right?
Yeah.
Which not many Malawians could do, right? So when somebody in Malawi, and I've corrected this so many times to so many people as well. When I've said this, like I heard someone say, "Oh, my Burundi, I was at thinking I'm a business."
That's it.
I was like, why are you not starting the business? What's stopping you from starting?
But again, it's the unknown. It's you don't know this thing. You're afraid of that foreign thing. If it was a Malawian, that's a difference where you now attribute it to tribe. No, Ayao are taking our business. No, Alomwe are taking our business. It's always they're different. They're doing it because they're different. You start attributing those things. That's why I'm saying, like, it's easy for one to just go, this bad thing is attributed to that person who's different to me because I know my people can't do that. This was the point. This was the point that I heard gunshots at a refugee camp is definitely not Malawians because they don't own guns. You know what I mean? That's
but that doesn't mean that I generally say that they should go. That's not what I meant. I didn't say they should go home.
No, okay. It's just
I didn't say they should go home. That's not what I meant. On the video that you played, it's clearly she's a right-wing extremist. She is. There's no any other joke about that. She's a right-wing and she's pro right-wing. She wants to see immigration stop. And one of the reasons or the agendas for Brexit is to stop immigration. Do you know this? Are you aware of this?
Yes, I know. It's to control it, not to stop it. You can't stop immigration. You control it. But look.
Okay, so listen here. European Union has sort of an agreement, or there's several agreements. One of them is Schengen, which is like the Germanic countries, I think, and then there's another European Union agreement of like they control sort of the immigration process, whatever that is. So by Britain coming out and saying we don't want this is because they, right, in the parliament, that movement had already started. The right-wing movement had already started. And trust me, you should follow this politics that's going on right now in Europe. It's strange, it's scary, and it's going to affect us all. I'm just going to be plain and honest with you. It's going to affect us all. Because the right-wing movement, their main agenda right now is to make it a criminal priority story narrative up there, and then the next one is terrorism. Okay, which they've already established in most places. And on top of that, welfare. Okay. There's so many countries right now that want to look into welfare, like who's getting the welfare and who's not. And if you are an immigrant who's getting welfare and not have a job, you are prone to be sent back home.
Well, as in an immigrant with the right papers to get welfare.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
okay.
Yeah.
So this is the beginning.
Sorry.
This is the beginning. This is the beginning of it all. And someone can stand to correct me. Someone can stand to correct me, but I think everything else is it's all coming from.
Drew,
it's all coming from.
This is what it's sounding like right now.
What is sound like?
It's a conspiracy theory, or is it?
But it is. You know, you know,
Uh,
the biggest trickery in the world is to make the masses assume that it's a conspiracy theory.
yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
biggest trickery. How many of us didn't we thought that aliens didn't exist? How many of us?
I
And
don't
we
know.
believed that. And we believed that for so many years. We had this idea that this is just a movie
Okay,
thing.
but you're going again. You're going on a tangent, Drew.
No, this is
Which
just an example. I'm just giving an example. Because you say this could be a conspiracy theory kind of thing. But I'm saying, like, I am going through the news. I am reading and researching about the right wing movement that's going on right now, and it's extreme. And we have to brace ourselves. We have to find ourselves in a position where we have to rethink whether we're staying in Europe or not. And this is just a blunt truth. Call me Dave Chappelle or whatever.
Dave,
But
I did.
this is what it is. This is what's happening right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dave. Damn. Okay. Cool. I hear that. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Okay. What I was saying about that lady, when you're saying, oh, she's right wing and whatnot. The
Yeah.
reason that we have these problems is because we tend to separate each other. We tend to say you're right wing, you're left wing, you are this, you're that. Well, guess what? We're always going to have differences. There's always going to be opinions. There's people who always think this side is bad or that side is good, or this will always happen, right?
Yeah.
But we need to have more conversations. People need to have conversations. So the right and left need to have conversations. Sit down and have your arguments. Because at the end of the day, you wake up, you look outside, and I'm sure that the 5 out of 10 or 10 out of the that you see, some of them are right wing, some are left wing, but you are living in a community, right? You can have a conversation. You don't have to go on the internet. Go on the internet, look at figures, and go, yes, this backs my opinion. Let's march to the whatever and do all these things. Yeah. So, like I said, for me personally, I don't know how you guys feel. You guys were watching, guys in the comments. I don't know how you felt, but for me personally, I looked at it and I said, I'm quite offended with what she's saying. I feel offended for the people that got profiled, by the crimes that she was putting against an entire group of a culture. It wasn't even a race; it was a culture. Yeah. I felt sad about that somebody can just direct, and then she said, "Call me racist," because she knew that she's targeting a certain group of people. It should never get to that.
I say one thing. And I think she needs to go back to history. She needs to go back to history and kind of figure out how was London built. How was that society built? And trust me, that time London was being built and being civilized or developing to where it is today. There wasn't any Albanians that time. There was original British gangsters that built that from crime. And this thing about history and narrative, the current narrative, is that we have to be really careful who is saying it, how they're saying it, how are we accepting it. Because by you saying, like, let's relate to her from our own background perspective coming from Malawi, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's a totally different thing.
Okay.
She is
isolating
speaking. She is speaking demographically. She is speaking on a marginal perspective of things. Brown and foreign.
I think she was more. Yes, she was more specific. Right? She was more specific, and she was prepared. Yeah, she has assembled her agenda. But I think the point I am saying here is it started somewhere. It's not that she just woke up and became a right-wing extremist, as you're saying, allegedly, right?
All right.
What we're saying is there were things that confirmed these opinions that she had, right? This is what I'm saying. So all I'm trying to show you is the danger, how dangerous it is when you say one thing, start believing it, something confirms it, you could end up being her. You could end up, anyone here can end up being her. So that's what I'm trying to say. That was my point.
If you remember, I spoke about biases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are several biases. First of all, it starts with the implicit one. The idea of looking at the next person. How do you see the next person? Yeah? How do you perceive the next person? How do you judge the next person? That's an implicit bias, right? You look at them and you say, oh, this one looks like a thief because they're coming from that culture. That culture is associated with thievery. He's a thief, this one. Okay? That's an implicit bias. And then there's a collaboration bias, okay, which she will recruit, okay, through propaganda. And that's what she's doing right now. She's recruiting collaboration.
Yes.
And she would get collaborative bias, right?
Yes, because if there's strength in numbers that believe in the same thing, then she'll feel that what she's saying is fact. It now turns into.
I think now you agree to my point that there's right-wing movement happening in Europe right now.
Oh my gosh! Like I said, Drew, right? I'm trying to stop. Well, I'm trying to help people understand that how dangerous things can become. Okay, I'm not trying to say, hey, there's a war coming. Let's prepare. Take arms. Oh
no. Well, me as an African person, living in the diaspora, I have to be aware of my environment and what's going on, and what's being perceived of my culture and where I come from. I have to be aware of these things because
Where's Bob Marley when you need him, man? Where's Bob Marley?
Bob Marley was well aware of what's going on. Listen,
of course, but he was singing "One Love." That's what he was singing.
I mean, at this point, it's not a matter of playing checkers; it's a matter of playing chess. In today's world, 2024, it's not a matter of playing checkers; it's a matter of playing chess. You have to be aware of where you stand politically. Right. You have to be aware of that, and you have to be aware.
I think, Drew, listen. What you're saying here, right? I'm going to take you back to the first experience or encounter you had when you came to Europe. Yeah. I think if nobody is aware, then they must be blind, right? Or they must be ignorant to the fact or to the thing that's happening to them. I think when anybody who is not from a country that they've gone into will get reminded very quickly that they are not from there, that they do not belong,
accepted,
that they are on this side. Drew, this is not something. I am not arguing that at all. Okay, what I'm arguing is what's up here, what we are training up here, in your mind, what what it is you're accepting as fact, basically, and how dangerous it can be and what it leads to, aka UK referendums were done through things like that, decisions were swayed through things like that. That's what I'm trying to say here. So we can all sit here and say it's not right, or we don't affect the crime rate. Then we put the shoe on the other foot and also find out that in some way, somehow, we were inclined to think a certain group does a certain thing, So we need to fix the brain here. This is what I'm trying to say. Think about these things and flip it back. Always flip it back and go, okay, I'm pointing the finger, but what about me? What about my kin? What about my children? What am I teaching them?
Well, I am not necessarily pointing a finger. I'm just pointing out that there is this thing that I found to be connected to this immigration problem, as they're calling it. So my point of view is that I'll give you an example. Do you know that in America right now there's this new how do you call it? This new agenda that's happening right now. Especially if Trump comes into power, the homeless people, it'll be illegal to be homeless.
Yeah,
it will be illegal to be homeless. Now, let me ask you this question. How many minorities in America own a home?
I don't know. You tell me.
How many minorities in America can manage to pay a mortgage?
You tell me, bro. Do you have the statistics?
No. I'm just putting it out there. Because sometimes, yes, we have to accept certain conditions. Let's accept and relate. But sometimes we have to look at it in this way, whether you like it or not. Systemic racism exists.
This is your favorite point.
But it
You know,
does. It does. And if we don't talk
we
about it,
know,
it will
but
never be
but
addressed.
but Drew, like I said,
It
I
does
told
exist.
you
It does
we
exist.
get.
And
I
it
told
has moved on. It has moved on to a bigger picture where it is now in a form of a political structure that's about to take control of everything.
I think it's been there.
Did you watch the French elections, by the way?
No, I think. Look,
Wow.
I didn't watch.
Wow.
I think.
I want you to go back and watch the French elections
I,
and
I
just
think
follow through.
Drew.
Well,
These things, history. It's history repeating themselves. Like these things have happened. They've been happening. There's a reason why.
right.
There's a reason why when we go back. I like to go back home. I like to think
Mm-hmm.
that way because that's where we grew up and all that. There's a reason. There was no. What was it? North Rhodesia, South Rhodesia, and all these other things. All these separations were there for a reason. This area has copper, this area has gold, this area has a workforce, this area is this. It almost even told other Africans, like say the South Africans today, not I'm saying all South Africans, but xenophobia, for example.
Yeah.
There's some South Africans who think, they are better than other Africans. Even in our own continent, these things happen. Okay. So this thing you're telling me, Drew, it's there. It's been there. It happens, But what I want to talk about today is the migration and crime thing, and this is what people need to stop doing. Stop attributing migration to crime. Yeah, okay, you got to control your borders because population density and all those things. You might have to wait for hospital times. I agree with that. I agree that you might be paying more tax because you're taking in more people. I totally agree with that. I think let's say that. But this is what I'm saying. Do not attribute immigration to crime. These people went into my country. Oh, there could be all these crimes. Oh, it must have been this person. I think it's wrong.
I want to disagree with Fatson, what Fatson said earlier about to say, let's remove race in the picture. I want to disagree with that because listen, if you look at it very in a whole picture perspective, this is all to do with race. This is all to do with race. Like, let's not put that out of the picture, because if we do, we are promoting so that the elite or the privileged have the capacity to dictate what's going to happen next to the people that are immigrating into their country or migrating into their country. Look at Colombia, Brazil, and those South American countries. They openly say like our crime here is not your problem, it's our problem, because we know it, right? They do. Have you not seen the documentary about what's his name, the narco guy, what's his name, Pablo Escobar?
No, really.
There was the one point after Pablo Escobar died, who was the next president? What was his name again? Semar, something like that. He said in one of the statements something to say like the crime problem is not anybody else's problem, it's our problem. We create it. So we don't need America to come and fix it for us. We don't need anyone to come and fix it. They accept it, right? So why can't the Western world accept that the crime also is their problem? Why do they need to blame it on somebody else?
Okay, listen. People accepting a crime problem. Okay, I think again, right? Like I always say, Colombia, that's a different story. I don't even want to jump into that. I mean, they were back then, things were messed up. Even the president himself, the presidents were dodgy. Let's be honest. Okay.
So was America. So was America and every other country.
Of course. So I've got a comment from a friend of mine who's watching. He sent me a message. He said, migration is an excuse for people. Sorry sorry, KK, if you didn't want me to read this, but I'll read it. It says, migration is an excuse for people to jump to. We are all immigrants, one way or the other. The English are French and Danes who came here eons ago and took over. These people learned the game and rewrote the book on exploitation and used it to take advantage a la colonialism. Obviously, very strong words, very, very strong words. So yeah, the point is, before you point a finger, look at yourself. I think that's the point he was trying to say here. He's trying to make in a very colorful way. You know, Fatson says, I still disagree. I think that race tends to be more of a talking point, which is why the two are associated. Okay. I grew up in Malawi, a country I love to death and will always be my home. But because my family are Tanzanians, we're always treated differently. There was no racial bias. So there you go. It wasn't always. It's not always about race. It's not. They're not directly, and it's the same thing as the crime thing we were talking about right now. You know, they're not directly linked, but it does tend to get there if you start going beyond borders. But I don't think it's down to race. It's just down to difference.
I get your point. I get your point. Let's agree to disagree. I mean, it's fair that you have expressed yourself, Fatson, that this is what you experience in Malawi. And on behalf of all Malawians, I do apologize on behalf of Malawians, because I think maybe we need to do better in that sense. And I am a more of a welcoming person to other cultures. I lived in Ghana for 2 years, and I never experienced any Ghanaian looking at me different. Of course, there was some things like, you know, what do you eat in Malawi? Those kind of things. Oh, we make the best food. Those kind of little things, those little nuances, which is not necessary, right? It's not something like they look at me like, oh, where you from, whatever. You know what I mean? Or why are you here? In Ghana, I found peace, right? But my point of view is like, I think we need to separate the two immigration positions: African immigration and Western.
Immigration is immigration.
Immigration is immigration. Immigration is immigration. Fair enough. Did we start by saying we should separate this? We shouldn't separate the expats and immigration thing. Now you're saying no. Let the Europeans define immigration their own way. We're going to define it a different way. Well, it's immigration. Like, if we're different, we're different. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying get me right. But I'm saying is what happens in Africa when a Malawian person migrates to Zimbabwe. Yes, there was some issues about xenophobia in South Africa, which was I must thankfully say, one of the biggest politicians, Julius Malema, pointed out to say, listen, South Africans, we are lazy people, we're not working, yet we want to promote xenophobia. This is just rubbish. You get what I'm saying? And in that sense, he kind of promoted change. When Julius Malema made that statement, he made change. Now you see more Nigerians in South Africa. Now you see more Malawians in South Africa.
Hold on
let me continue.
No, hold
So
on,
what I'm
Drew.
saying, what I'm saying is,
Drew,
political power has influence to how they propagate this whole immigration thing. And the way I see the Western world propagating this whole immigration thing, it's all to do with brown color and light color.
Okay. I'm just going to look up something. Because this okay. South Africans. So if you guys know, actually, let me ask you this question, because maybe I'll just tell you this. I remember a cousin of mine who lived in South Africa. Apologies for the camera. My camera is not connecting to the computer for some reason, so I have to keep turning it off. Anyway, I remember somebody told me in South Africa they were trying to get a job in South Africa, right? And they went to this place and they were going for an interview. The employer told them they give priority to South Africans, even if they are underqualified. Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if they're black, white, or whatever. They give priority to. So if you're from another country, you're at the below the list. You know.
Right.
I just need to fact check this because this is what I was told. Right. So if you're saying Julius Malema said something about this, I hope they change that too, because these things, if that's the truth, this is what I need to see. South Africans for job opportunities. Basically, this is what I was looking for. Because
you can just Google Julius Malema on xenophobia. It will probably pop out. It'll probably pop out because it was something to do with xenophobia when he mentioned that speech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is quite interesting because I think
I'll find out. I'll find out. Don't you worry. Anyone who lived in South Africa, let me know where to look, because this is what I was told. This is what somebody says it's true. Somebody just told me it's true. It was there. It's still there. So it's not even just race. It's the fact that you're not South African. You're not going to be prioritized to get a job. In Malawi, this happens. It's not written in law, but it happens indirectly amongst us Malawians. I have a relative who went back to Malawi from here, and they said, we're not going to give this guy a job. He's been out there. He's not like us. They're not like us. He's not like us. He's from out there. Why would I give him a job?
Let me ask you a question. Are you aware of how Africans were being treated moving from Ukraine into? No, I'm just asking you a question, please.
Yes.
Are you aware of this?
Yes.
Are you aware of this?
You keep shifting.
Because I think we need to understand one thing. There's certain Africans that are privileged and that don't understand the level of treatment other Africans are receiving in the Western world as immigrants. Let me say something. Yeah. There are certain Africans who are elite, privileged, who don't understand how certain Africans are being treated in the Western world. And they have a mindset to say that maybe let's put out the race picture out of the way. I'm not saying you guys are elite, but I'm just saying I've met some Africans the same way, like here, who has a certain mindset to say, I don't think race is in the picture. But listen, I'm sorry to break it down to you. Race is in the picture, has always been in the picture, and will always be in the picture unless we talk about our experiences and how we see ourselves being treated in a certain way.
Okay, Drew. Okay.
That is the only way. That is the only way things will change. If we continue to say, I was listening to this podcast. The other day, 2 days ago, I think it was about migration also in the US, and this guy was interviewing a Mexican guy, and there were comments coming in to say like, oh, if you don't like the job that you're doing, why don't you just go back home, and the guy says like to say, there's only Mexicans working at this job, why don't you take that job, and yet you want me to go back home?
Okay. South Africa opposition protests race quotas for management jobs. So Cape Town, South Africa. Members of South Africa's main opposition party took to the streets of Western Cape, and this is 2023, July 2023. Streets on Wednesday in Cape Town to protest a new law that allows racial quotas in the workplace, saying it will discriminate against minority whites, Indians, and mixed race people. Protester Astrid is part of a mixed race community. We already have so little jobs. There are a lot of people not working, and now they still want to marginalize us. So this is so Black South Africans even, the South African government says the law is necessary because most companies are not following through on pledges to transform their workforce by hiring more qualified Black South Africans. That's why the law was in there. So first of all, it's Black South Africans, then the rest of the South Africans, then us. Yeah, this is because you said Julius Malema. Yeah, you said, but
I did.
I'll send.
I did. I can also send you the link after the show on WhatsApp. I'll find that. This is live right now, and I have seen a clip. I think it was on YouTube or something, where Julius Malema was addressing about this. And that which website is that?
VOA News. So
VOA News.
One of South Africa's biggest. Here's the important part. The South African government says the law is necessary because most companies are not following through on pledges to transform their workforce by hiring more qualified Black Africans. This goes back to the point that Fadson made about being Tanzanian in Malawi and being treated differently. Not that.
But he said Black Africans. He didn't specify Black South Africans. He said Black Africans.
It said Black South Africans. You want me to share the screen again? No.
Black South Africans.
Yeah, you might need to get your glasses, you know what I mean? Because I'm going to zoom in for you so you can see. Huh?
I see.
What is this?
And which year is this? 2023.
Literally last year. This time last year. So
fair enough. Fair enough.
I said,
fair
look,
enough.
Even in our own backyard, these things are happening. So yeah, you want to wage war against the Ukrainians and the what? There are laws in your backyard that are doing this separatist stuff. What I'm saying is, up here,
oh my good lord!
Oh my good lord! These things. You know,
we need to rethink. So basically, you're saying by rethinking, you agree with her. No, we should go back home.
No, I don't agree. I think you don't get it, Drew. What I'm saying is,
I do.
What I'm saying is, it's easy when you're on one side going, "You're bad, I'm good."
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I need to protect myself and my image and my culture, because my image and my culture right now is being demonized as bringing criminality into a certain society, which is not true.
Separating. Then we will keep separating. That's Anyway, Drew, I need to end the show. Guys, thank you very much for coming through. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. I really, really enjoyed it. I had Drew in the frying pan today.
No. The thing is, you is forgetting about racial profiling. And this image right now that's being given right now to say immigration is bringing in criminality is called racial profiling, for that matter. I think we should continue this subject again.
Okay. Well, guys, let us know if you want us to talk about this again. By the way, we're trying to grow our TikTok so that we can have like a lot of live interactive shows with you there as well. So, guys, can you please follow our TikTok channel? It is at 5 rounds. It's literally down there, on the teleprompter down there. TikTok at 5 rounds podcast. Please follow us over there, guys. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for being in the discussion. Fatson, Bushido Brown, Anna, KK in the chat as well. Thank you very much, guys, for chatting with us. So this wasn't just a hit piece, it was a discussion, and I'm glad that everyone respected people's opinions. All right, but guys, enjoy your weekend. I don't know what's going on with you guys, but the sun's out where we are, so we're gonna have fun. I'm
gonna go to my studio right now. I need to make some songs. I need to create some songs.
All right, guys, be safe. We'll see you next week. Take it easy. Bye.